Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this city council meeting to order. This is the last city council meeting of the year. Cindy, will you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Spread,
Present.
Harvey,
Present.
Brockert,
Present.
Saucedo,
Present.
Beckett,
Present.
Fitzgerald,
Here.
Malcolm,
Present.
7 present, 0 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you. Will you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We are going to start tonight's festivities with swearing in our new council and myself. I've asked our mayor pro tem, Kelsey Brackett, to swear me in, and then I will swear in the newly elected council. Please come to the podium.
All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Diana Broderson, do solemnly swear
I, Diana Broderson, do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of mayor
discharge all the duties of mayor
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
She signs it.
There we go. Thank you. Next, I would like to ask our 4 newly elected council to please come up, and I will swear you in one at a time, and we are going to start with Dennis Freilich, our 1st Ward Councilman-elect. Right hand. I, Dennis Freilich,
I, Dennis Freilich,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Iowa,
and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to my best of my abilities,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of First Ward Councilman
of First Ward Councilman
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Congratulations and welcome. Please stand back and we will go to shake the councilman's hands when we get done. Next, we have Peggy Gordon, our council-elect for 3rd Ward. Please raise your right hand. I, Peggy Gordon,
I, Peggy Gordon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Iowa,
and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of 3rd Ward Councilman
of 3rd Ward Councilman
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Congratulations. Thank you. Peggy, I'm going to have you sign while you're standing right here. I'll get you, Dennis, in a minute. All right. Next, we have Council at Large, Dwayne Hopkins. Please raise your right hand. I, Dwayne Hopkins,
I, Dwayne Hopkins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Iowa,
and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of at-large councilman
of at-large councilman
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please sign right here. Thank you. And now, finally, last but not least, council member-elect, 5th Ward. I, John Gendrich,
I, John Gendrich,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United
of the
States
United States
and the state of Iowa,
and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of 5th Ward Council Member
of 5th Ward Council Member
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please sign right here. And then, if you will please go around, well, actually, you want a picture first, probably, Kevin? All right,
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you. If you all come up, give them a chance to take a picture. Just stand right here. Well, no, we can probably do it here. Or do you want us out there? All right, we'll go up there. That's true.
Count three. 1, 2, 3. Do one more real quick. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
And then if you, the rest of you will walk around front and let council welcome and congratulate you.
Congratulations, you'll do well.
So much.
That's happy.
You will enjoy yourself.
Congratulations, sir.
But you had to sign last.
You will.
Who's in charge of bringing snacks, right? Who's in charge of the snacks?
I feel like I should hug you.
The guy in town's paying for snacks, he's bringing snacks.
Welcome.
Thanks. Congratulations to our newly elected council. We will welcome you in January, which is going to be here before we know it. All right, the second part of number 4 is to ask if there's anybody here in the audience that would like to speak to council about something that's not on tonight's agenda. Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is, excuse me, my name is Darrell Smock. I live at 720 Berry Avenue. At the December 5th council meeting, I attempted on 2 occasions to speak, and on both occasions I was denied. Mayor, you told me you would not allow discussion of an individual in a public meeting. That's a curious position, given that during a November 7th meeting, you allowed a citizen at the end of the agenda to speak about a terminated employee. So as not to be muzzled by an inconsistent ruling tonight, I will not be focusing on any employees or recently terminated employees. Instead, I want to address the recent actions of this council. Questions I pose will be rhetorical. Did Councilman Brackett suggest or request that the mayor take a leave of absence when she filed a countersuit against several persons in this room, or did he reserve that kind of action for only the former city administrator? For those on council who have raised concerns about an us versus them environment, do you believe termination of a 10-year employee in good standing who is undergoing a performance evaluation and while in FMLA would foster a positive team atmosphere in the city? Maybe you think bringing up the potential of criminal offenses in the context of an employee removal discussion would foster a positive atmosphere. How about a council member referring to a terminated employee's unused sick and vacation hours as, quote, pretty high, unusually high number in my opinion, close quote. Insulting innuendo can easily plant the seed that wrongdoing has occurred when in fact none exists. How about a council member proclaiming that he does not want to take the personal phone of a soon-to-be terminated employee from that person. What a guy. And these comments about the person are being made when the person is not present but on medical leave. For some, that might be a convenient way to do business. It's not my style. Some have theorized that the recent actions of this council might be related to personal issues or beefs. Maybe, but is it possible skin thickness and bruised egos might be more at play? The phrase lack of confidence has been raised in recent council action. Who has lost confidence in whom? $30,000 plus for an evaluation tool that was not used to full benefit. $200,000 plus to buy out a contract where the city gets no work. $100 per hour for an interim city administrator. How about spending big dollars for a possible independent legal counsel to deal with any perceived concerns, including transparency and bias? Why would there be any concerns, especially given that Councilman Saucedo, who only days after voting to oust the city administrator, was able to find an interim, to nail down an hourly rate of pay and work schedule, and to get that person hired on a 4-3 vote without any interview? Maybe the city should trade in its slightly used $30,000 evaluation tool for a professional hiring tool. Would the city have crumbled if this council had delayed a hiring decision for 1 week so the interim candidate could at least be interviewed? Why the rush? And just so I'm not misunderstood, I've intentionally said nothing positive or negative tonight in reference to employees, including Mr. Jenkins or terminated employees. And Mr. Jenkins, I'm not talking about you personally. Trust me, I am not. I'm talking to the council. What I've said, I'd hoped to talk more positively on December 5th, because that's all I had to say was positive things on December 5th, but I was not allowed to speak. What I have said tonight is directed at the elected officials in this room. It's my hope that in the future you will do better, and I would like to say much better. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Please state your name and address.
Yes, good evening. My name is Freedom Malik. I just moved to town at 1836 Hershey Avenue. I am the new district leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I just wanted to introduce myself here at the council meeting since this is my first one. And I've got a little snippet just to take a minute here to run through my mission, why my job exists, and why I'm here tonight. So my job is basically to advance and accelerate the adoption of federal, state, and local animal protection laws. The Humane Society of the United States recognizes that animal protection needs are endless and that there are infinite ways to spend our limited volunteer time helping animals. We also recognize that we cannot rescue our way out of the magnitude of abusive conditions animals face. That's because most animals exploited by humans are abused in completely legal and publicly sanctioned ways, including factory farming, puppy mills, fur farming, entertainment, and egregious hunting practices. While we must continue to respond to the current needs of animals in distress, we must also work diligently to prevent animals from ending up in these distressful situations in the first place. We do so by working to create a civil and humane society through the enactment of humane legislation at the federal, state, and local levels, and by urging corporations to improve their animal protection performance through targeted campaigns. And I would just like to ask for your cooperation in the future on these endeavors.
Thank you.
I did
Welcome.
also bring some literature with me and some of my business cards if anybody likes them after the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Hearing nothing, we'll go ahead and move on. We are on number 5 on tonight's agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, which includes items 6A, items 8A and B, items 12A through E, and tonight's bills totaling $3,857,732.67.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Fitzgerald with a second by Councilman Spread. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We are going to move down to 11A tonight, and we have presented for City Council's consideration the third and final reading of an ordinance on the proposed rezoning of 32.78 acres of land located at the southeast corner of US 61 Bypass and Mittman Road. This ordinance will rezone the property from agricultural development to M1 Light Industrial. This zoning change will allow for the development of a Love's Travel Stop and Country Store at this location. Do I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on the third and final reading and to direct for its publication as required by law?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
It's not time yet. Councilman Harvey, you made the motion,
Correct.
And I second.
and Councilman Fitzgerald seconded it. Is there any discussion? Please come to the podium and state your name and address. Good evening.
Hi, Marcy Edwards, and I live at 2915 Mittman Road. I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, my husband and I and our neighbors are not opposed to a truck stop in Muscatine. That was never our agenda. What we are opposed to is using a residential street for one. I don't know, I think most streets are laid out a little bit differently than ours, and we were told we didn't get notified of this truck stop because we were more than 200 feet away. Most residential streets, the neighbors are going to be within 200 feet. So I think that was just a way of not getting us involved in something that is going to affect us. So I would hope that in the future you would rethink that, because the traffic is going to increase on our street. And I didn't hear any of you say, when you were asked at the last meeting, if you would want a truck stop at the end of your street. I don't think most people do. And I don't know how many truck stops and Love's truck stops are put on the end of residential streets. I would think they would be on your interstates, places where your semis are going to be, not on a residential street. I take Mittman to the bypass and back every single day because it's my most direct route to work and back. And if you're going to put a truck stop on there, it's going to be the most direct route for a lot of residents, because they're not going to go around Mittman to go to the truck stop. They're going to go the most direct route. So this is going to affect us. Not only will our traffic increase, but you're going to have people on their lunch breaks in a hurry. It's my understanding there's going to be a fast food restaurant in there. I don't know. I've kind of tried to look over this huge traffic study, and I know that there was something done regarding Mittman, and I believe there was something in there about increasing like 4 cars per hour. And I don't know, I don't understand how you come to the conclusions. I'm not saying they were good or bad, but that's a lot more traffic. So you can divert the semis from coming down our street, which I don't know why they would want to anyway. They're going to want to go back out to the bypass, but you're not going to divert the traffic. Across the street at any given time, we have 6 to 8 children playing in the yards Our neighbor now has 4 that are there most of the time. We have dogs. We're just like your street. We choose to live there, just like you do, for location. It's kind of a country feel. Thus, we don't have the 200 feet rule applying to us because we have a little more space. We're more of a country feel, and we would like to keep it that way. I don't know if this will affect our taxes. I mean, those are questions we have. I don't know how you're going to monitor our street for the extra traffic and the speeders that come with it. If there's a fast food restaurant, you know, occasionally I go out and pick up trash out of the yard, but how much more trash are we gonna have? I'm not sure. I know there's a study that talked about how much business would be needed, customer base, to support a truck stop, and it's a lot. And, you know, I know that it was mentioned that this was gonna be a smaller scale truck stop, but as I understand it, it's still gonna start out with room for 50 semis and I forget how many cars. But regardless, a truck stop is 24/7, so you got noise, pollution, lights. We can hear the occasional semi revving up on the bypass when it echoes down across the fields. A truck stop at the end of the street with trucks slowing down and speeding up there's gonna be a lot more noise. I'm curious, is there a fast food restaurant going into that? And was there plans to purchase enough land to expand? You know, I've heard it's smaller scale, but I've also heard that, you know, there's going to be a purchasing of enough land to make it even bigger. And how many Love's truck stops are put on residential streets? I mean, I've never heard of that. I don't think that would be the ideal location for anyone. And as far as, I know that you had read, Nadine, about an email from your nephew, and talking about he liked working for this truck stop. And again, we never have said that we didn't want a truck stop in Muscatine, just not on our street. But in 2017, there was employees from 5 states that sued them for not properly paying them overtime and having them work more hours than what they were getting paid for. And also in 2017, in Butte, Montana, I believe, there were some people that felt the same way we did. You know, Love's wanted to come in and put a truck stop and ruin their atmosphere of their little town. It was very small, and they've been kind of bullied about it. And I kind of sort of feel like, in a roundabout way, we're kind of being bullied because we didn't get notified, and it's kind of like it was just going to get swept under the rug. Our street is not your typical residential street. I understand that, but that's like when you buy a house, you buy it for location. We like our location. I like to keep it safe. I just don't think that's the place for a 24/7 truck stop.
Thank you, Mrs. Edwards.
Thanks.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes, my name's Annette Losey, and I live at 2603 Mittman Road, and I'm another concerned citizen regarding having a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 365-day truck stop at the end of our residential road and on our bypass, no less. And again, it's gonna hold around 50 semis as well as 58 cars, which sounds like a lot to me, as well as they could maybe expand. So that's a concern. And I know they did a traffic count, but they did it just one day. They did it on Tuesday, October 15th, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., and then 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. I don't know how they thought that they could get a really good rate by doing it just one day, and then they decided that the peak hours were 7 to 8 and 3 to 4. by using those times. I really didn't understand that, but I just wanted to bring that up. And then I do have something that I wanted to read that's on behalf of myself and my sister and the neighbors as well. But a startling fact that should give us all pause is the statistic by the American Farmland Trust that in America we are losing 3 acres of farmland and ranch land every minute to development. At this rate, we will undoubtedly get to the point where we will no longer be able to sustain our own food needs. This is scary to us and should be to everyone. What a legacy to leave our children. The fact that we are also trying to reduce our consumption of fossil fuels, this makes this prospect even more daunting. Yet here we are sacrificing this precious farmland for the mere possibility of tax revenue for what may be a very short length of time if the Green Deal and the climate change activists are correct in their claims. Does this make any sense to rezone and destroy this valuable asset for something that will likely become obsolete? Another point to consider when making the decision to rezone for the sake of a truck stop at this particular location is the accessibility to drugs, prostitution, and a multitude of other possible trafficking and criminal activities. Will this be the new drug hub between Burlington and the Quad Cities? We pray not. But Loves cannot guarantee that any type of security will be on site at all times at the 24 hours, 7-day-a-week, 365-day business. This will leave it susceptible to criminal elements, which will, by nature of the location and business, put an extra strain on Muscatine's already overwhelmed police department. And then there are the already established businesses performing similar services as Love's that will suffer because of it. Do you really think people will buy more gas just because a new station pops up? It is clear to see that it can only hurt the revenue and profits of these other businesses. We're all for competition, but can't we get another type of business to come to Muscatine besides those selling gasoline and diesel fuel? Isn't this kind of putting all our eggs in one basket? Seems to me that something will need to give. Also, the bypass is a larger factor in all of this. Huge changes will need to be made, and some of these cannot be considered positive. Our farm field on the northeast corner of the bypass in Mittman Road has an entrance into it which will be just west of the proposed Love's entrance and exit. Heavy, slow-moving farm equipment will be no match for impatient semi and car drivers in a hurry to get in and out, and then out of the station. Safety must be a big concern. Iowa also has one of the largest nursing homes in the state just up the bypass at the next intersection to the north. We must take into consideration the fact that a higher number of elderly drivers will be in this vicinity. This extra traffic must be considered a hindrance to their safety and the safety of anyone not familiar with the area. The developer of this parcel knew when he bought it that it was farmland and had been used as such for a very long time, and that it is located on a residential street that does not allow semi-traffic. This cannot be a surprise for him that there would be pushback on such a drastic change as this, where people who live in the area will be greatly affected. We are personally surprised by the insensitivity of this whole project. Would any one of you want a truck stop just yards away from your home? Having to deal with all the mess that comes with a business such as this. The petition that was taken up and given to you must be highly considered when making such a life-altering decision. Please understand our position, do your due diligence, and make your decision accordingly. So again, I just, petition you to please consider all the cons of this, as well as what you think are the pros with the money stream. Because like we've said, how much more gas will people buy just because we add another gas station? There's only so many people, and so many people need gas. So consider that, and consider where it's being placed before you make a decision to go ahead with this.
Thank you, Ms.
I appreciate
Losey.
your time. Thank you, council.
Is there anyone else? Council, any comments?
I'm definitely hearing what the residents in that area are saying. I very much would like to see this development move forward, but I have a lot of concerns about that location. Adding, when the traffic study came back and when the DOT said that what the resolution to that corner would be to put a traffic light in there, that's yet another traffic light on our bypass. So it's not really a bypass anymore. We're bypassing the bypass by turning it into something else.
A street.
I have, and it's in close proximity to the next corner. A corner that's already developed land, a corner that already has 2 curb cuts into it from 2 different, from both 61 business and the bypass, that I think would be a much better location than paving over farmland. I mean, I have stood for retaining farmland for many, many years. I've been a member of an organization that promoted that, and am not comfortable with that as a first option. I would like to hear from the Love's representative if there's if they've looked at other options along that area, and what if any other options might be available, because I'm just very uncomfortable with that particular piece of land being used for the numerous reasons the residents mentioned. In addition, the ones that they didn't like, the traffic light needing to go in there, which further breaks the bypass into something that it wasn't designed to be.
Mayor, I have a comment to make.
Go ahead.
You talked about access, Mettman Road and the bypass. When I moved out to my location on Mulberry Avenue, I had a very busy corner, the cemetery and the church. We had a half a dozen to a dozen houses between my house and the bypass. Since that time, we've added Baton Rouge, we've added condos, we've added apartment complex. We put a Casey's with a convenience store, gas station, all of that at that location. We added the theater. The nursing home is still there. There's a second nursing home. Traffic has increased. And as far as I'm concerned, I love it. I think you're missing the boat. I think you're going to find out that I realize it's going to be a change, but I think it's going to be a positive change. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please.
All those would be better than a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week truck stop. You don't have semi-trucks coming in and out down your street. Don't say this is anything like that. Those are cars. I would love a nursing home, elderly people, just quiet people with their cars. That theater is nothing like a truck stop. That gas station is nothing like a truck stop.
You don't know, lady, you haven't been there yet.
How can you say it's anything like that? Have you been to the truck stops? I visited the truck stops. You've got the big trucks running. Mm-hmm. A regular gas station is not like that. So don't say it doesn't compare. They're going to have room for 50 trucks in this. It's not like a regular gas station. They're going to have room for 58 cars. And it's going to be open 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's not just a regular business that has hours. Its hours are all the time. So please
Thank you.
understand that. I'm sorry.
I understand.
To
Thank you.
bring that up.
Any other council?
Can we get the representative from the Loves to talk about this briefly in regards to, did he look at any other locations, or did we get anything from the potential Grandview corner right on there on 61?
Please state your name and address.
Alex Fuller. Address is 10601 North Pennsylvania Avenue. And Councilmember Brackett and other council members, to answer your question about our due diligence and site selection, we probably spent 4 to 5 months before we even put that property under contract, exploring all options in Muscatine, looking at different sites, looking at different properties. And I can tell you, to be upfront and honest, it wasn't our first selection, but for a multitude of other reasons, certain properties aren't available or aren't developable just because of existing developments. So I hope that answers your question.
So you tried on that corner, obviously, is what I'm trying to get at.
At
corner,
the
Grandview.
signal,
Yeah, the signaled corner already.
yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Councilman Salcedo, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
No?
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted with 6 ayes and 1 nay.
Mayor,
Yes.
may we stipulate too that this only rezones the property? It does not have anything to do with what may go on it. That still has to pass through council.
Yes, I was about to ask.
That's understood,
Well,
the way
But to-
the way the ordinance.
Are you done?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilman Fitzgerald.
It's that you rezone it for commercial, and anything that's commercial can go in there. It's not saying the gas station is specifically going to go in there. If you want Andrew to clarify, but I think he didn't quite understand the question.
Councilman Malcolm?
well, I think it's important to say that, especially for the residents on that street, to know that this is not guaranteeing that Love's will be able to finish, because they still have a lot of other steps they have to get through. All this does is authorize the land to be used for development in that area other than what it was previously been destined for. So don't assume that everything's lost. Let's wait and see.
Thank you. We are going to move on to 11B. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution setting a public hearing on January 2nd of 2019 concerning the vacation of utility easements on lots 4B and, are we having a meeting on January 2nd?
Of 2020.
Yeah, that's still not adding up to me because,
Yeah.
okay. I knew something was off.
It says on 2030.
Yours says 2030?
That's on the website.
Mine says 2019.
Mine says 2019.
2019.
Okay.
Inside it says 2030.
So any way you look at it, it's going to be January 2nd of 2020 concerning the vacation of utility easements on lots 4B and 4C in Sunrise subdivision for the development by University Storage. University Storage is proposing to dedicate an easement along the south edge of Lot 4C to accommodate the construction of a storm sewer and other potential utility extensions. Do I have a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Salcedo with a second by Councilman Spread. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Councilman Malcolm, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Harvey?
Aye.
Councilman Salcedo?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We're on 11C. We have 4 items here that are property agreements between the City of Muscatine and HNI Corporation regarding the Mulberry Avenue and 2nd Street Roundabout project. This will complete the Mississippi Drive Corridor project. So the first one is a request, and it is presented for City Council's consideration to approve a property exchange and temporary construction easement agreement with HNI related to the 2nd Street and Mulberry Avenue Roundabout project. This agreement lays out the understanding of both HNI and the city for property-related transactions that will occur both before and after the construction of the project. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved. I'll take second.
All right, Councilman who said it? Councilman Salcedo?
No, spread.
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 I have a motion by Councilman Spread with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. The second one presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution to approve the right-of-way dedication from HNI Corporation related to the Second Street and Mulberry Avenue roundabout project. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Saucedo with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Harvey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. Next, we have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution to approve a temporary construction easement from HNI Corporation related to the Second Street and Mulberry Avenue roundabout project. Do I have a motion to adopt this resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Fitzgerald with a second by Councilman Spread. Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Harvey, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Spread?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Saucedo?
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
This resolution is also adopted with all ayes. Next, we have presented for City Council's consideration the fourth thing, which is a request to approve a real property charitable donation agreement from HNI Corporation. Do I have a motion to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Saucedo. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? This request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11D. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve a purchase agreement regarding the vacation and subsequent sale of surplus right-of-way adjacent to 1820 Angle Street. The adjoining property owner, Pete's Tap, would like to expand their business with the purchase of the surplus right-of-way owned by the City of Muscatine. City staff and the adjoining property owner have prepared a purchase agreement for this surplus right-of-way, setting forth the steps that each party will need to undertake to complete the transaction. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. I would
Go ahead.
like to thank Andrew for working with the owner of this property to make this come to fruition, and it will really help the owner to make improvements to this property, and it will be a bonus for the neighborhood.
Really appreciate it. He's worked a long time to work to expand his business and better that, and I know you've been working hard alongside him there a long time recently. Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11E. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve a proposal from Bone Sack and Fromelt for audit services for the fiscal years 2019-2020 through 2023-24. The city's audit committee asked the finance director to request options for extending the current agreement with Bone Sack and Fromelt. After review of this proposal, the audit committee is recommending its approval. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Saucedo. Is there any discussion?
I would ask that we actually move this, I would like to have this moved to in the in-depth session in January and have the new council vote on it after that, but have a discussion on it first. This is from what I understanding, this is a firm that we've had for quite some time and has done a, what's that?
It's just 5 years.
Okay, well, we've had a 5-year contract with them, but I think that that we should have the council vote on this after the first of the year, but maybe have a discussion on it first in regards to me, it seems strange to have the same firm for 10 years doing the audits of the city's finances instead of having it change from time to time.
We have, over the years, we have had a change, and the individuals, principals of this were a part of the previous firm, and then they went out on their own, and we brought them on board, and they've done an excellent job. The rates that they're quoting us for increases are excellent. They've done a super job, and they understand the city of Muscatine. They're small enough that you get the principal owners here to do the audit. You don't have clerks and lesser people. So I think it's,
And this is very much their specialty. It's all they do. They're good at it. They came out of McGladrey. They used to work for McGladrey doing the same thing. Their work is exceptional.
They just recently took on Iowa City as well too, so I feel very confident with the ability that they have. We respectfully, Kelsey, we asked for a 3-year and a 5-year, request, looking at their costs, knowing that if we were to go with a bigger firm, you probably would be seeing a much larger increase. But the fact that we get the accountants that actually own the business, and then we get to review, we get to talk to them before, we specifically tell them what we want to be looking for in the audits, and then they provide the feedback in what they're doing. You can request that, but I feel pretty confident that this is a group, even when we select the new audit members that are going to be on there, you're still going to have a relation with Sarah and this Boschnick firm to be able to say, hey, these are the items that we want to address, these are the things we want to look at, specifically give me this information. So that still, whoever comes back as far as audit members, being that us 3 are going to be on, you're still going to have the ability to still be on this group or be able to find information and still say, hey, can we look at this, or can we just verify to continue to be, doing our due diligence?
okay.
Good.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. Yes,
Are you moving to F? now?
sure.
John has asked us to pull that from this evening. We're not quite ready for that.
11F.
Yes, please.
okay.
We're going to skip 11F and put it on a future agenda and move down to 11G. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve work order number 4 to the professional services contract with Bolton and Mink for design and construction for the Taxiway A reconstruction. The reconstruction of Taxiway A was part of the airport's capital improvement plan. It was anticipated, due to funding limitations, to be completed in 3 phases. This fall, the FAA notified the city that it intends to fund the FAA share, which is 90% of the reconstruction of the entire taxiway. The cost estimate is $3,110,513, with the FAA portion being $2,799,462. Do I have a motion to adopt this, to approve this request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Any discussion?
So we're approving the professional contract with Bolton Meek. What specifically are we paying Bolton Meek if the cost estimates are going to be for that amount? Do we know that? I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Mayor, Council, sorry. The contract with Bolton & Meek is the actual design. So before you can actually make the application to FAA, you actually have the final design in place, and you've actually gone out to bid. You haven't awarded a contract, but you have solicited the final numbers so that they have firm numbers to use when they grant you the money. Does that make sense? Sometimes it doesn't.
So
make
what
sense
is the
to me.
contract?
I guess what I'm asking for is we have an engineering firm that we're hiring to do the drawing,
Yes.
do the quote, get us all the information, and then we have an actual cost estimate for what the whole taxiway project will be of $3.1 million. Well, my question is what is the cost for the Bolton Meek portion? Is it 10% of the overall project? Is it 15?
For the design itself, it is,
I can't see it. That's what I was trying to find out.
that's fine. The design work itself is $218,000, so approximately 15%.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. 11H, we have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Morning Sun Implement in the amount of $19,116 for the purchase of a Kubota utility vehicle for use by the Muscatine Parks and Recreation Soccer Division. 3 bids were received, with the lowest bid from Morning Sun Implement. There's $20,000 budgeted for this purchase. Do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Harvey. Any discussion?
Just one comment. I'd like to make sure that we are still putting stickers on this vehicles in regards to identifying them as a city vehicle if they're going to be traveling in between parks and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. 11I, we have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to McCann Concrete Products in the amount of $74,790 for the purchase of a modular restroom building for Weed Park. 2 bids were received for this purchase, with the lower bid from McCann Concrete Products. There's $100,000 budgeted for the project. Do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second. We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Spread. Any discussion?
I have one question, Your Honor.
Okay.
Have we used these before? This is a modular concrete building, isn't it?
That's exactly what it is, and there is one at Discovery Park, kind of the same unit there. So back to the last budget session, we discussed a modular concrete unit. That'll be vandal resistant, pretty sustainable over the years to maintain it.
Like a tornado shelter?
Pretty close. That's right.
Have you seen the one at County Conservation, Discovery?
No, I haven't. That's what I was just wondering. And I know the one we have there is in definitely need at Weed Park, so I just didn't know.
Correct.
This would be definitely a good addition.
If I may, Council?
Yes.
Our intent is to come back in January at the in-depth and talk in more detail about exactly where this modular unit will be placed. It is our intent to use existing project money to potentially refurbish and redo the existing restroom at the Rose Garden. And if there's enough project money left, we're still getting a couple quotes yet, and some of that work will be done in-house, then this unit will be placed down by the lagoon shelter. In the comp plan, it called for 2 restrooms in the park. We should be able to accomplish 2 restrooms for basically the cost of about 1.5 restrooms. That's our plan.
Good deal.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11J, and we have presented for City Council's consideration a request to remove traffic signals at the intersection of Hershey and Main and replace them with an all-way stop. Traffic results studies do not warrant the need for traffic signals at this intersection. The low traffic count rate and the intersection not having a detection system causes inefficiency in traffic movement. Upon approval, MPW will remove the signals and the city will install flashing stop signs at this intersection. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, I got questions too.
I had concern from a citizen, and I wrote back to her this morning. I also sent the letter on to Jim and Brian. I'd like to have Jim come and explain the reasoning for removing those traffic signals. Please and thank you.
Take a seat, Jim, you'd be good. Mayor, Council, Brian Steinman, Public Works Director. This request comes to us from Muscatine Power and Water. The signals at the intersection are antiquated, to say the least. As it's mentioned here, they do not have a detection system, so they're merely set on timers, which makes them old. The bases are old, the wiring is old, everything in there is old. The cost to replace these are high. So they did the study, the traffic counts, to determine whether or not the intersection, a signalized intersection was warranted. It was determined by those counts that it was not. We feel that we can get the same level of safety with a four-way stop sign. And because we have the flashing lighted stop signs that we've used around town, we would install those here for a period of 6 months up to a year until folks got used to it, and then it would remain a four-way stop sign from there on out.
Okay. One of my citizens' primary concerns was that there's a Musk bus stop there as well as a school bus stop. Will any of the area be marked so that people are cautious?
If it is marked now, it would continue to be marked. We could evaluate it and see whether it needs more markings. The stop sign really won't affect anything differently than the traffic signals would. It actually probably be more efficient and easier to get to the intersection, not having to wait for the timing of the signals to change. So we can investigate that, though.
All right, thank you.
So in the study that they did, they determined that it was not needed, that stop signs was going to be just as good? Is that really what their explanation was, I guess?
Yeah, signalization is based on traffic counts, and so whenever these were installed, I have no idea. I'm assuming it was 50s or 60s probably when this was here. The traffic situation was most likely different then. The way it's developed now with those counts, you have, and I don't know the numbers, maybe Jim could help me with the numbers, but it's based on the X amount of vehicles per day can warrant a signalized intersection. Under that, you can get by with either a four-way stop or a two-way stop or a yield. It's all broken down in a system like that.
So hypothetically, let's say we approve this, because I feel that there's definitely a lot of traffic that goes on Main Street coming down, specifically during the winter and things like that. You're going to be stopping a lot when it comes to snow and just concerns that I have more from accidents. Could we ever go back to still signalized with the fact that MPW has given us the feedback that that's old? Or would we be footing the bill for that new light if we would decide to want to go back into it?
Well, we would foot the bill, we would share the bill either way if we put up new signals or if we required new ones later. Actually, that's not probably accurate either. I think MPW would pay for the signals. We would have to request it through council to get them put back in. And then they'd have to budget for them and figure out how to where to do it.
So if we were to look at this is where my concern is. I would feel like we should at least try this. This is not a normal, smaller street. I mean, this is a highly trafficked street. I travel it on it every day.
Yep.
And so I would feel more advantageous to say, could we try it for 4 months, come back and say, hey, you know what? The police chief comes back and tells us, hey, we haven't had any accidents there. We're okay. Let's go ahead and finish the whole demo out of everything versus them just, pulling the whole conduit, getting everything out and not having such a high expense to put in all new signalized system again.
I think if you would like to change the recommendation and council approves that, we definitely could turn the signals off, put the four-way stop signs in, try it, and if it does work, then we could pull the signals down. I mean, there's no harm to leaving the signals there. We would just turn them off so there's no power to them, and then you would have a four-way intersection.
And I'm okay if it's not a huge cost to pull physically the lights and the poles out, because that's probably not a huge cost. It's more around actually feeding new systems, new power up through it. But that's an engineering question. I'm just thinking.
I think it'd be just as easy to disconnect the power for the time being, leave the poles there, put the stop signs up and see what happens. I'm okay with that. If the rest of the council agrees to do that, that's fine with me. And I think that'd be fine with MPW, and at least for a trial period. I think that's reasonable.
I would feel more favorable to that because it's going to be an added cost, but I feel more, 4 months. If there's something that can say, hey, we can try it. We've had one fender bender, but everything is getting accustomed. We have the signalized blinking, stop signs. But I'm just concerned, just from a long-term standpoint, that I think it's in our best interest to try to look at that from that, my personal view. That's just my opinion. Now, if the rest of the council has a different view, that's fine. I'm just giving you my.
I think when you're coming down the hill, you're always glad when it happens to be green.
Correct,
And sometimes you
exactly.
can just scoot on through. This way, you will never scoot on through.
But again, they're the ones that have that signal
Right.
information. I think it's just, I'm asking for the due diligence to, if this is what they're saying, we can go with that recommendation, but I think we should at least try it for 3 months, 6 months, come back, and then we can review it and say, okay, yeah, everything's working fine.
Would you like me to reword this and bring it back at a future council meeting, or does council want to reword it now and enact it, and we'll go from there?
I'm just throwing my 2 cents. If I have anybody from back, Fitzgerald, you guys, what are you thinking?
I'm satisfied with what it is. Power and Water reviews it, the traffic study or the traffic counts don't warrant it. 8th and Cedar, 2 or 4-way stop, puts a lot of traffic through there with the schools being in the area. It's quick. And I used to live down on Hershey Avenue, and I came down Hershey, and only once did I slide down Hershey.
You mean Maine?
Maine, excuse me. And that was a wild ride, but it only happened once.
I've slid down it before too, so.
Brian, can you tell me what is the measure for when Muscatine Power and Water pays for the street light or the stoplight, and when we pay for it?
I'm sorry, I wish I could. It's variable, I should say. Let me say that. And we are in discussions with them, and we are meeting with some of their new management to try to hammer that out so that we have a constant for that. But through my 3 years here and the past before that, it's been different every time. So I don't have a good answer for you on that, but I can try to get one for you
Okay.
by next year.
And I'm wondering, so Muscatine Power and Water brought this to you, so how does it benefit them or hurt them if the stoplight's there or not there?
It benefits them by not having to replace them with new equipment, so there's a
If
cost
they were to
savings for
break
that.
down?
Correct.
Okay.
And it doesn't really hurt them, other than that these are old. At some point, they're going to have to be replaced. So if the city decides, no, we want to keep these here, then they'll have to replace them at their expense.
So
and
they're
budget for
thinking
them.
down the road for replacement?
Then
Can I
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm actually good with Santos's suggestion, but at the same time, I'm good with pulling them out. I feel like every time I go to that intersection, and I use it quite a bit too, it's red anyway, so, you know, and that would make it more consistent. People would expect to stop every time versus thinking they might be able to come down that hill with enough speed and get through it and then end up running a red light. So, I mean, to me, I think safety-wise, it does make sense, and that intersection has always thought, I've seemed a little bit odd to be a signaled intersection to me anyway.
So, okay.
Thank you.
So I guess what I would request then we pull it and have maybe some information with the chief come back 6 months later and say, hey, this is what we've had. Have the new council decide to review and see if there's anything that needs to be done. If they're good with it, we haven't had any accidents and everything's good, then I'm good with it.
You offering an amendment to the motion then?
Correct. That just, the only thing would be added is just to come back 6 months and say, this is how this new signalized stop sign has been working.
Do I have a second on Councilman Saucedo's amendment?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I can live with that.
Is this on the motion?
This is on the amendment.
Okay, you gonna ask for nays?
Yes. Nays?
Nay.
Nay.
3 nays, 4 ayes.
Real quick, can I ask
Yes.
that? We were just talking about, all it was coming back in 6 months and talking about
Yes.
whether or not it was good, and not any other
Right,
changes.
that's
to it.
all we
Okay,
were-
I
it
just
was
wanted to make
just-
sure I wasn't voting yes for something I
No,
didn't
we were
understand
voting on the
Yeah, that's all I'm
amendment
asking, is just
to
opposition
get
to
a
discussion,
report
so-
6 months
okay.
later.
You, the people's safety, that's all I'm
Yes.
asking.
Okay.
That motion carries. We're back to the original motion, which is to take out the street light. All in favor, say aye.
And with his addition of his amendment.
We already voted on the amendment.
I understand that.
Right, but the amendment
More
is
than
only
just
to come
pulling
back
out.
and talk in 6 months. It doesn't alter
No, it
whether we
doesn't.
pull anything out.
This is just the first.
Okay. Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? That request is approved. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, now, help me understand this. So we're gonna take the turns, we're
Take
gonna
it-
turn the
take
traffic
everything
signals
out.
off, put it in 4-way stops, come back in 6 months with the report.
Yes,
I got that. Thank you.
thank you.
Yep.
All right, we are down to 11K. Presented for City Council's consideration as a request to approve a real estate purchase agreement and proceed to purchase property located at 2456 Sampson Street. A portion of this property is needed for the Grandview Avenue project right-of-way. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Second, you're up.
We have a motion by Councilman Fitzgerald with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Any discussion?
So I had a few questions on this. My reading on this, Brian, or Jim,
Or Andrew?
so reading through this, we basically approved to purchase this for the value of $140,000. The owner agreed for a $100,000 purchase price?
Mayor, council, the appraised value of that property was 140.
So
And-
that's what I'm getting at. So I don't see the appraisal estimate, or did we do one or two? Normally, when we've done those, we've done two of them in the past.
In the acquisition of this, we, because we have the ability as a city to check property values and everything else, we had one professional appraisal done on it. There was no dispute as to the property value or anything else, so
Okay, so
this is a long answer if you want it.
No, I just
Okay.
want to be clear, because I was looking at the actual assessed value, which was
Yeah.
75,000, which I can understand, that's the assessed value for 1.89 acres.
In essence,
That's
the
not
prop-
the appraisal.
Right.
So then if we had an appraisal, I just didn't review that, and I didn't see that in the documents, and that's what my question was, is if we had a professional firm, so that's somewhere documented
Yes.
somewhere.
Yes.
That they could say, okay, we did do a second party, they did come back and say, this was assessed at 100 and X amount.
Yeah.
And we agreed at 100,000 to pay
Yes.
them.
And just to cover the city's interests, this is, the DOT is involved in these projects, a local road project for review. So we questioned them about that appraisal that was done for a partial acquisition and whether we should go back and get a professional appraisal for the whole entire parcel. The DOT advised us to just go back to that appraiser and see if he would want to revise it. So we went back to that appraiser and discussed with him what was going on there. And he wrote us a letter for the file showing that, stating in essence that this per square foot price was appropriate for the whole entire parcel too. So DOT is
Nope.
got us
and I'm good.
covered.
As long
We're
as
covered.
Good with
we
that.
have that documented
Yeah.
somewhere, that's, I guess, what I would be asking if somebody were to come back and question that.
Okay.
So,
Anything else?
nope, I have.
Thank you,
that's all I
Jim.
had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. We're on 11L. Now, we have three things here. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve 3 purchase orders for the IT server virtualization project. 2 separate bids were solicited from qualified vendors, with the following being the low bid for each. John was here.
Is there?
Oh, there you are. You moved. Is there a motion to approve the issuance of a purchase order in the amount of $48,230 to SHI International Corp. For server and storage hardware?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Malcolm. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. The second one, we need a motion to approve the issuance of a purchase order in the amount of $12,955 to SHI International Corporation for virtualization software and licensing. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Fitzgerald. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. And the last one is a motion to approve the issuance of a purchase order in the amount of $8,640 to Windsor Consulting for professional services related to this project. Do I have a motion?
So, second.
We have a motion by Councilman Spread with a second by Councilman Brackett. Any discussion on this one? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11M, and we have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to KM International in the amount of $109,073.75 for an asphalt recycler and hot box reclaimer. There was $50,000 budgeted for originally planned equipment. After demonstrations of various equipment types, a different type of equipment is now being proposed. Public Works will also defer several budgeted purchases to assist in this funding, for this equipment, leaving $7,200 to be funded from road use tax. Is there a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilman Spread. Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. Brian, could you give us a quickie how these two pieces relate to each other?
Certainly. Let me get the numbers right because they're industry terms. The TK, I knew I should have had this up.
KMT2.
Thank you. T2 M2 asphalt recycler. That is the machine that will allow us to take our ground asphalt that we remove from roads, other projects. That'll allow us to add a pure asphalt to that. It tumbles it, heats it like a concrete mixer, and makes new asphalt out of that, where we can use anywhere in town. There is an example of this on Washington Street by the Family Video. When we demonstrated, they gave us that little bit there, and that stuff it's our old stuff. It looks like it's brand new, and it's still in place. So that machine makes that for us. When we first submitted this budget, we thought we could get away with just the hot box reclaimer. What we found out during our demonstrations is that those keep asphalt hot, but they cannot remake old asphalt into usable asphalt. So in order to get the asphalt from where we make it to where it needs to go to be put in the holes, we need the other piece of equipment as well. And that's where the other expense comes in. So the two pieces together, one makes it, one takes it, if you will. The other one that takes it also allows us, if we wish, to go to the Quad Cities to purchase virgin asphalt and bring it back. When it gets here, it's still hot and usable. Right now, we put it in a dump truck. We get back as fast as we can, and hopefully we use it before it gets cold. If it gets cold, it's no longer useful for us. So now if it gets cold, which it shouldn't because we had the trailer, we can put it back in the machine, grind it back up again, and reuse it. So this should make us self-sustaining for asphalt patches and pothole patching with hot asphalt as opposed to cold mix. Hopefully it lasts longer. The reason that we're pushing these through right now and deferring our purchases for the year is because if we get this PO approved tonight, I can order this tomorrow and have it by the end of January. So we can be doing hot mix asphalt in potholes this winter. Yeah. So that's what this does for us. And I'm very excited about this. I think this is great for the city, and I really hope that you approve it.
You still have to preheat the concrete, don't you?
Yes, and the KM 8000 has the heater wand on that right off the back of the thing. It's got the propane tanks. We're ready to go. This is going to be awesome.
Great.
So, yeah.
It sounds like it would.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. Buy away. 11N, presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order in the amount of $13,200 to Mellon and Associates for the installation of a new sluice gate at the Papoose Lift Station. 2 quotes were received, with the low bid being Mellon and Associates. This item was not budgeted, but was identified as needed after the 2019 flood. The project will be funded out of the Water Pollution Control Fund balance. Do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Fitzgerald with a second by Councilman Brackett. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Go
I
ahead.
remember we talked about this before, and I thought we were it was working, but it was.
Not really.
Yeah, but,
It's working, but it's 1965 vintage, so we haven't really seen it since the flood.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it for several years because it's been underwater. And when we lowered it this fall, it would not come back up.
Okay.
Until we really messed around with it and it finally started rising again. Then we sent the diver down. He verified that it had come back up, but that makes us pretty nervous.
Okay. Yeah, I remember us talking about this. Okay, thank you, John.
Yep.
Thank you, John. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. We're on 11O. Presented for City Council's consideration is a request to approve change order number 5 for the high-strength waste project. The city requested cost estimates for additional concrete work that was not included in the original contract. The total additional cost for this change order is $148,984. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilman Harvey with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are we doing concrete breaks on this, or are we having any of our staff help with the permits or verifying of what we do? I mean, that's not a small amount of concrete.
It will be, it'll be inspected by the city, yes. City inspectors will,
Okay.
and then we do our own concrete testing. The city does
So
that.
we'll get some cylinders on the side.
Oh,
of
yeah,
what they
oh,
do.
yeah. We do brake tests and all that kind of stuff. It was an engineered design from city staff as well, so it's up to snuff.
Okay, that's all I had.
Go ahead.
John, could you give us kind of an update of where you are with the project?
Sure. It's coming along great. This is really the final thing. Everything else is pretty much in. This was originally going to be aggregate, but because we can't put an aggregate for too long a period, you can do it temporarily. We thought maybe we'd have some more time, but it's really appropriate just to go ahead and pave this area. So this is our liquid waste receiving portion of the project. So the trucks can actually park and then dump directly into the tanks. If you recall, the second bid we got was, this took about $1.5 million out of the project, so that came in under budget. The machine for the depackaging project is up at the it's in the building next to the transfer station, which we're going to rename, and Muscatine Organics Recycling Center. Anybody catch that I like acronyms? The MORC, right? To go along with MARV. But it makes sense to keep the recycling center name in there, but call it the Muscatine Organics Recycling Center as an homage, I guess. So hopefully that should be started up here in the maybe second week of January or so. We're hopefully to have everything, all the pumps and everything start up and everything done, and then start processing sometime in February. So the project has moved along well and is coming in good budget too. We're not over budget with this either on that deal. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds
Anything
good.
else?
Hearing nothing else, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved. We're on 11P. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve an agreement with Greg Jenkins to serve as our interim city administrator. The proposed agreement addresses compensation and indemnification for the provisions of these services. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Saucedo. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We're on 11Q. We have a discussion to start the process to search for a firm to recruit our new city administrator. Who on this, Stephanie, are you going to lead that?
Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's my recommendation that if we are going to proceed, that we begin the process with an RFQ for the selection of a recruiting firm. So the process of replacing the city administrator is a multi-step, and that's the first step in the process.
Sure.
Given that this was just put on the agenda in the last couple of days, I haven't had any time to actually prepare anything. But if there's a consensus that that's the direction you want to go, I can start the work on that.
Yeah, what you put in the attachment looks good to me.
I thought so too.
Okay.
I just had one question.
Sure, go ahead.
Would we be looking for multiple firms, maybe at least 2 or 3?
We'll put the RFP out to the firms that we know of and advertise as we normally do and see how many responses we'll evaluate the response. I think when we did this 10 years ago, we had 12 responses or so from recruiting firms. So
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't need any action on that, so we'll move on down to communication, number 14. Councilman Harvey, do you have anything tonight?
I just would like to welcome the 4 new council members to council next month.
and hope that they continue the good things that are happening in Muscatine.
Thank you, Councilman Harvey. Councilman Spread, do you have anything?
Sure, I'd like to mirror Alan's remarks. Welcome to the new council members. I'd like to say thanks to my fellow elected officials, city staff, and the citizens of Muscatine for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you, Councilman Spread. Councilman Fitzgerald.
I just echo Tom's sentiments. City has an excellent staff. Working with the public has been entertaining and enjoyable over the last 28 years. I appreciate the service that they have given me, or the opportunity they've given me to serve. And I've also want to thank you to my family for putting up with me. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fitzgerald. Councilwoman Brockert.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but I would like to express my appreciation to our departing council members for all of the wonderful things I've learned from them, and it's been my pleasure to serve with you all. I'd like to welcome our new council members, and we will be working together for probably at least 2 years, so I hope I can learn things from you as well. I would like to wish our citizens a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and ask that you pray for our council members and our city staff, because we have a lot of very important decisions coming up that will impact the city for a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Brackett.
I'd like to, thank the outgoing council members and say that even during the times that we have not agreed on things, that is a critical aspect of our government, and that it's important to have different voices, different opinions, and have that represented by our elected officials. And I want to thank you for that, and regardless of the things that we've disagreed on. So thank you, and Phil, for the extended period of time that you served on the council. And also welcome the incoming members. I did have a question, though, that I don't need an answer on tonight, but is in regards to the new the new process we put in at the transfer station for the compost area, where we're doing I think 2 stickers for residents. I had some questions come back on that in regards to people that they don't own a truck, and they are a resident, and the only truck that they have access to is from somebody that lives outside of the city of Muscatine, and what would their options be there? Particularly, if they don't have the ability to borrow the same truck every time, or if that, that truck has an obvious, it doesn't have a Muscatine plate, and what can they do? If you've got an answer, I'd take it now. Yeah, that'd be great.
My response would be, if you've been issued a sticker, that means you're a resident of the city of Muscatine and have the privileges to take those things down there at no cost. You may not transfer your sticker to someone else, but if you wanted to carry it with you, and when you borrow the vehicle and brought it with you, we would accept that.
Okay, so they just shouldn't apply the sticker to a vehicle.
If they don't own the vehicle that
like
do
an
it,
ID.
yeah, if you don't own the truck, but you borrow a truck or whatever, have the sticker on your person, you probably still need your driver's license to be very helpful to additionally prove that, but we would accept that as well.
Okay, that's perfect.
Fair enough.
Thank you. I wanted to also add, happy holidays to everyone. Be safe. We don't know what the weather's going to do here at any point, it seems like, because it looks like it's going to be nice for a few days. Anyway, thank you. That's all.
Councilman Saucedo.
I'm with mixed emotions. I will say that I'm grateful for the time that I've been here on the city council. I've learned a lot. I have made a lot of good friendships, and I will miss a lot of the people that are here. I definitely will say that the new council member, I'm confident that we're leaving in good hands with the new council that is coming in. I hope to continue to be a resource, or be able to be, a phone call away. in the last 4 years that I have been here, I have definitely learned a lot, and it has truly been a journey that has taught me more than what I expected when I came in here, and a very good experience for me. I hope that the next council coming in will continue to take the baton from us and will continue to move our city forward as we have, and I know that they will. So just in my last words, I'm grateful for the time that I've been here, and I hope that we will continue to move our city forward. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Saucedo. Staff, do you have anything tonight? Greg, your first night here? I'm sorry, I left you out, Councilman Malcolm.
She forgot about you.
Wow.
Oh, that's all right. I'm left behind. That's okay.
He didn't notice. Greg, you had to point it out.
Well, that's all right. It's kind of hard to overcome everything everybody's already said, except for, I guess I'd like to remind the new council members, in the first budget hearing on a Saturday, you guys get to buy lunch. Thank you. Thank you very much. And for Brian, I need to let Brian know that I was at John's place the other night for a meeting. He has a city flag flying. I just want to point that out. You know, just for the other council people, you'll understand what that's about eventually. You know, but John's got a city flag flying. The police don't even have a city flag flying, but okay. Anyway, I want to wish everybody the best for the holidays. I look forward to starting fresh and clean and doing the best we can with what we got to work with. And I'm glad to hear Brian is getting stuff to fix the streets, because everybody knows that that's a pet peeve for me in January. And get ready, guys. I need your best, your A game of how we're going to repair our streets and infrastructure for the community. And I thank you for using your skill sets to this table. We need you.
Thank you. Greg, Cinda?
So I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity. I know it's a unique place that I find myself in this community, and I really do appreciate this opportunity to support and help this community move on. And I also want to thank the staff for their warm welcome. I've been really, really impressed with how they've stepped up to give me a hand. They know who they're dealing with, and so I appreciate that very much. And we look forward to the budget season a great deal. My thanks to the council members that are going off. We've worked on a lot of projects together, and I truly do appreciate the hard work that you've put in, and look forward to working with the new council members into the future. I think that's it. Happy holidays to one and all.
Thank you, and thanks for stepping up and helping us out.
Thanks for approving the contract.
Certainly.
Now you can get paid.
It's $1 an hour.
I wanted to echo what everyone else has said. I've worked with these guys for 4 years. Thank you for your service to Muscatine. And thanks to the 4 new council that are going to be coming on. It's a lot more, serving the community is a lot more than just a meeting 3 times a week. And I think any of the outgoing council will vouch for that. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into it in service to the community. And we really appreciate you stepping up in the way that you have. Next, I would just like to ask, I had asked a couple weeks ago for an update on where we are with merge. Did we get that prepared yet? Sure.
If we could put that question back into early January, I will
Okay.
have additional news for you at that time.
That'll be good. I've got a lot of people in the community that are interested just in finding out where we're at, as well as there's some rumors flying around that the Peace Park people are no longer involved in wanting to move forward. And I've been contacted by the group to tell me that is in fact a rumor. They are very much still involved, still meeting regularly, and still want to continue moving forward at that location. So I was just hoping that we could get an update. Beginning of the year works just fine. Thank you. Reminder, we have our city meeting for the next couple of weeks. I'll be on vacation, but I'll be here in town if anybody needed anything. I want to wish all of Muscatine and the people a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I echo Councilwoman Brockert's thoughts, asking for prayers for the city as we move forward. Thank you to everyone. Do I have pardon me? Yes, help yourself to refreshments on your way out the door, and feel free to stay around and mingle. If you weren't able to come to the reception to thank our outgoing council and welcome our new ahead of time, feel free to hang around and visit. Do I have a motion to adjourn, Councilman Saucedo? Thank you.
Oh.
I tried to,
8:30.